how do you balance like the technical aspects of gun writing with being able to tell a good story? And I ask you because you are a really good storyteller, and you've given me great advice on some of my hunting articles.
Well, Rich, when somebody gets a gun, they get a manual. They don't need a new they don't need another manual. They don't need you to rewrite the manual, right? Specifications are available online. You can go to the website, pull specifications. But I think that those of us who are really interested in firearms understand that it's more than just a tool, right? When I go to the store to buy a chainsaw or a hoe, it's a tool. I'm not personally that vested in what I'm getting, but guns, they have a history. They have a character, if you want to say that. And there are interesting things about the way they were developed, the way they were designed. But most importantly for me, the gun is almost, like a person in the story. It's almost like a character in the story, because different guns have different personalities. And there are certain things that you cannot appreciate about a gun until you've picked it up and carried it. And there are a lot of things that you can't really appreciate about a firearm until you've carried it for a long, long, long time. I'm sure you're the same way with your sidearm and law enforcement. You don't really get to know a firearm until you've spent some time with it. So if you've gone on an elk hunt with something, you spent a week with an optic, and you've seen it in all kinds of weather conditions, and you've seen it in bright sun and low light and all these things that somebody is not going to ever be able to get from a manual or from a spec list until you've had it in your hands. It's a little different. So you want to kind of give the firearm, the optic, whatever it is you're talking about, sort of its own life, right? This is almost like a character in your story. This is how it works. This is why it works. This is what I found out I didn't really like about it, and what I wasn't expecting to not like about it, or what I really did like about it. And you have to be careful, because I think there's a trap that a lot of gun writers fall into, and that is, number one, they confuse opinion with fact. You may not like something, I may not like something, but before I'm actually going to say, hey, this is bad, I'm going to take into account, maybe this is just something that I don't care for. And tastes vary with everything. Look at cars. You look at the cars we're driving down the road. Everybody's driving different cars. One person may like one vehicle, one person may not. It's the same with firearms. So you have to be careful when you're writing a review not to confuse your personal tastes with whether it's a failure in the design of the firearm or the optic. So I think that's one thing that's really important. The other thing that I think is important is Rich, you and I, we get to play with a lot of cool tools, right? We get to play with a lot of cool toys. You don't want to be a snob about things, right? There are people out there. There's a kid out there somewhere right now working a summer job to afford a deer rifle. That's their first gun. And it's probably not going to be very fancy. It's probably going to be pretty inexpensive. It's probably not going to be on par with more expensive guns. However, when you write that article for that kid that's buying that, or that person that's buying that particular product, what are they looking for? Because the person that's buying an entry-level deer hunting rifle and the person that's buying a custom safari double rifle, they're looking for very different things in the firearm. So I think you have to keep that in mind.
That's a great point, Brad. And I like the vehicle analogy, because, the kid saving up for his first hunting rifle, that's comparable to, someone who purchases a vehicle. Maybe it's a used vehicle and it's not fancy. Maybe it doesn't have a backup camera, but it's going to get them to work and back type of thing, right? So that's going to fill their need, and it's going to be affordable to them, just like the hunting rifle to the kid. Whereas some of us, maybe we have different needs. Maybe we're going to be off in the backcountry, so we need a 4-wheel drive, and that's going to cost more money. So, but it doesn't mean that, the car that the kid had or the rifle that the kid had isn't absolutely valid and perfectly suitable for his needs. So I think that's a great analogy there.